Hey everyone, welcome to the Friday night edition of studentloanjustice.org. My name is Alan Collins. It's Friday. Oh, we have a visitor here. Who's this? Who's this? What is that? Oh. Anyways, um, so it is a cold, blustery, snowy night here in northern Wisconsin. I hope everything is great where you may be. I know it's like 90 degrees in Los Angeles, last I heard, so I'm jealous. A lot is going on right now, folks. Where to begin? Our opposition is freaked out right now. We're seeing a maelstrom. We're seeing a tidal wave of oppositional pieces. Like usually back in the good old days, like say 5 or 7 years ago, we might see one oppositional piece like every couple of weeks. And like when we first started, we might see even one article about student loans at all, period, a month. So now we're seeing like one, if not two, oppositional articles lodged against us in the zeitgeist like every day now. The prime culprits are those weasels, those snakes, those swamp creatures at Forbes magazine. Horrible, disgusting people, I have to tell you. Those guys are just so ridiculous. And by the way, you should be embarrassed if you read those articles, and you should be ashamed if you actually believe them. Those people at Forbes have no idea what's going to happen with the student loan system. They only know what they want to happen. And all of those guys, their side hustles, or maybe I think their main hustles, are making money on the student loan system through debt coaching or debt counseling or whatever the hell it is that they do. They do not want this lending system to go away, and everything they write is towards that end. And everybody they invite to write on their pages needs to have that mindset. Believe me, I know. I used to write at Forbes, believe it or not, until the president of Sallie Mae had my editor to lunch, and I never wrote there again. So anyways, I think it's funny at this point because all that it proves is that the bad guys are afraid. The bad guys are scared. And they have nothing. They have nothing. They have absolutely nothing. Like I did a little screenshot of past Forbes headlines, for example. So before the election, they were like, hey, Biden's promising to cancel student loans. Hey, because obviously Biden was their guy. They didn't want Trump. Biden was a friend of the swamp, and they felt comfortable with Biden. Whatever their reasoning was, they were in the tank for Biden. So before the election, the headlines were, Biden reaffirms his commitment to broadly cancel student loan debt. Then after the election, like even as recently as a week ago, we now see headlines from Forbes saying, no, Biden never promised to cancel your debt. So anyways, guys, it's actually kind of getting fun from my perspective because pretty much every Forbes headline now, I can point out a headline in the past that directly contradicts what they're saying now today. They're losing it. They are spin doctors, but really at this late date in the death spiral of this lending system, I would say they are whirling dervishes. And it's frankly hard to watch. They're gunning for this smooth transition back to repayment. There's nothing smooth about watching the creeps at Forbes magazine essentially whirl themselves into a mist of illegitimacy. But it is fun to watch. So, and it's not just Forbes, by the way. It's not like this one little sect of the media is against this. Much, if not most, of the mainstream media, behind the scenes, they are essentially against us. They just are. I mean, we've discovered some very important research findings, and in, I would say, decades past, like in the aught 8s, 9s, and 10s, those years, when we made a even not that significant research finding, it would get picked up by places like, the Wall Street Journal or Chronicle of Higher Education or Inside Higher Ed or other places, regular newspapers. Reporters were generally back then very happy to break important news. Well, in the past 6 months, we've broken some hugely significant news, like the fact that older people outnumber younger people with student loans, and they owe way more, despite having typically borrowed way less many years ago. That's a huge story. It completely shatters the mainstream media myth that student loan borrowers are these young, snowflake, liberal, professional lawyers and doctors and so forth. That's all nonsense. That's all bullshit. People over 35 outnumber people under 35 with student loan debt. People over 50 outnumber people under 25 with student loan debt. You heard it here first. You may not hear it in the mainstream media. I don't know. We've had a few rare flashes of goodness from the media. Business Insider, for example, published our findings that over a third of U.S. states, student loan debt in those states now exceeds their entire state budgets. That's pretty significant. But that's more fewer and farer between than it ever has been before. So, ladies and gentlemen, I guess the point here is that word of mouth, your mouth, becomes just exceedingly important. If we are going to get the important facts out about this lending system, we can't really count on the media. We just can't. They're not really working for us right now. Another story, another very important piece of news that we broke that has yet to be picked up by anyone in the mainstream media is the fact that over half of all borrowers were not even paying at all on their federal student loans before the pandemic, not during the pandemic. During the pandemic, almost nobody's paying, but even before the pandemic, less than half of all student loan borrowers were paying. In fact, 64.3%, that's like closer to 2/3, were not paying on their student loans, federal student loans, before the pandemic. So like 50% weren't paying at all. Another 24.3% were technically in repayment, but they were making $0 payments. So that's 64.3% of everybody was not paying. Hey, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out. I'm just kind of talking out the side of my neck tonight, as I am moved to do. So if you have any questions, comments, points of inquiry, points of discussion you'd like to raise, if you're watching us on Twitter, I can see your comments, hopefully. Or if you're watching us on Facebook, if you're watching us on Instagram or Twitch or whatever other platforms we're broadcasting on, I'm actually not sure at this point, TikTok. Unfortunately, I cannot see your comments on those other platforms. So yeah. Our opposition is freaking out right now, and that's funny to me. One very good article has came out. There's a new place called the Daily Poster. I don't know where they came from. They seem to be kind of left of center, pretty liberal type of media platform. But they're doing good work. They're doing good, accurate reporting, particularly on the bankruptcy issue for student loans. Now, if you're new to the group, you should know. Maybe probably the most important thing that I'll say today, we're fighting for loan cancellation. Of that, there is zero doubt. In fact, our group is the group that started the petition in March 2020 that initially made the first public call for canceling student loans by executive order. And this actually goes back to an article we did in Vice News in June of 2019. But our petition was the thing that really made that whole concept fly. The president can cancel all federally owned student loans. That's 90% of all student loan debt by executive order. He can do it without needing a dime from the Treasury, without adding a penny to the national debt. You can't say that about all other types of stimulus. So we're for loan cancellation. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, sorry for the long lead up to this, we will not see meaningful student loan cancellation unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. It's a terrible thing to have to do. But the founding fathers felt that having bankruptcy rights were so important. They called for uniform bankruptcy laws in the Constitution, not the Bill of Rights, the actual Constitution. They called for uniform bankruptcy laws ahead of the power to declare war and raise an army. And this student loan violation of their wisdom proves their wisdom in spades. So, folks, I get what people say. They're like, no, I don't want to file for bankruptcy. I just want these loans to go away. Or maybe I just want to break on the interest, or I want some other fair, reasonable workout. Well, I am here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden is not going to do anything meaningful unless and until the threat of bankruptcy is under his ass. Like, do I really even have to, do you dispute that? Look what Biden's done the first year in office. He's done everything possible to betray us. And in the continued absence of bankruptcy, and we've been doing this for 16 years, guys, we've seen this trick, this loan cancellation trick played on us many times, where instead of returning the threat of bankruptcy, as the founders called for, they foist upon us some pleasant-sounding loan cancellation scheme, like income-based repayment, like public service loan forgiveness, like income contingent repayment, like pay as you earn, like revised pay as you earn. All of these loan cancellation programs, repayment programs, whatever you want to call them, the disqualification rate for these has been over 99%. They have been cruel jokes. So this is the game that's being played on us, folks. Our opposition would love to do a fake loan cancellation as a cheap substitute for the bankruptcy protections that should have never been taken away. We're not falling for it again, guys. We've been fooled too many times. We will not be fooled again, and you should not be fooled again either. Whether you would ever or never file for bankruptcy does not matter. What matters is that we have the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. As long as bankruptcy's gone, the best Joe Biden could call a press conference tomorrow and say, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I've been thinking about it, and I am going to now do exactly what Elizabeth Warren wants. I am going to cancel up to $50,000 in student loan debt. Biden could do that tomorrow, and the champagne bottles would pop, the corks would pop, confetti would come down in balloons from the ceiling, there'd be a parade, all these fun things. But you know what, guys? At the end of the day, up to $50,000 could and will mean almost nothing for almost everyone. So Biden may say up to $50,000, but you're getting 12 grand, you're getting 8 grand, you're getting nothing because you're in default. You get nothing because you didn't fill out your form right. This is how they play that game, guys. And we won't be fooled again. And to anybody out there calling themselves student loan activists, trying to pit bankruptcy against student loan cancellation, shame on you. Shame on you. In fact, our opposition has funded fake grassroots groups in the past to do exactly that. Bankruptcy and student loan cancellation are not opposing concepts. They are simpatico. In fact, the one, cancellation, depends on the other, bankruptcy. So guys, let me just say it one last time for the record. We will not see meaningful student loan cancellation from President Biden unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. Just please inculcate that, whether you would ever or never file. Quite frankly, very few people, maybe nobody, will actually have to file. It is a very direct path between getting our constitutional bankruptcy rights back, the threat of our constitutional bankruptcy rights back, and seeing actual, meaningful, widespread loan cancellation. Hey, I see we have a couple comments here from Leslie. Hey, Leslie, how are you doing? Leslie says, insanity. It's hard to wrap my head around the age group of student loan debt. Over 50 is no joke. No, the media is biased. Right. Exactly, Leslie. And, to all the seniors out there, you got to help us fight. You can't expect the young kids to fight our battle for us. It seems to be kind of the opposite. Like the young kids are looking to us for leadership. And I know that many of the older people were raised in a certain day and age where you just blindly trusted the government and stuff like that. And I get that. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, we've got to lead people, everybody out there over 50, let's say, we need to lead by example. We need to fight for ourselves. We need to set an example for the younger generation and teach them that they do not, in fact, they must not put up with this kind of shit. Because if we let this massive student loan injustice stand, that's the camel's nose under the tent. They're going to do what they did to student loans to other types of loans. I'm already hearing a word on the street is they would love to put a similar undue hardship or other barrier to bankruptcy for people with medical debt. And the line is essentially gone at that point. I mean, credit cards, home mortgages, you name it. Those all get put on the chopping block. And 20, 30 years from now, we could be living in a slave state. And I'm serious about that, guys. The bad people will not rest. The money people, they love this. They love no bankruptcy. You know, the collection industry, they call student loans the golden unicorn of the collection industry because there's no bankruptcy protections. There's no statutes of limitations. These loans are weaponized against us. They are viciously predatory, unconstitutionally so, and that should concern you. So we're getting some really ridiculous stories in these days, by the way. A recent borrower, I'm not going to say her name, V, let's just call her V from California. She originally borrowed $26,000. She has repaid $93,000. She still owes $132,000. Those are the sorts of numbers that we're seeing these days, guys. Another guy, Chris, he borrowed $75,000 or $80,000. He's repaid $100,000, and in fact, I think he's paid nearly $200,000 back on that $75,000, $80,000 loan. He still owes $235,000. So I could go on. Maybe some people here want to either now or in the future leave their own stories. If you have similar numbers to that, and I know there's thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, quite frankly, maybe even a few million people out there with numbers like that, send us your stories. We'd like to compile them into one thing that just paints the picture for how normal people are getting so badly robbed by this unconstitutional lending system. So I'm not sure what your other comments mean there, Leslie. The up to means, up to means Jack. Yeah, exactly. Up to $50,000. That's like a used car salesman term of art. I mean, give me a break. Leslie also says, thank you, Alan. You are a true champion for us. Well, Leslie, thank you for that. Thank you for saying that. But, I don't want to be thanked. I don't need to be thanked. I've got student loans of my own. I would like these loans to be gone. I want them gone. That's the one thing I want. I don't need a pat on the back. If you're inclined to want to thank me, do this instead, please. I'm serious. Go to studentloanjustice.org. You will see a tab that says daily actions. Do at least a month worth of those daily actions. That is truly all the thanks that I need. And as long as we're thanking people, I want to thank everybody out there who has been busting their hump with us fighting this battle. We are the pioneers. We've got over 1 million people on our petition. It's true, a couple 100,000 people on our other platforms. But on any given day, I can count the people who are actually really fighting this battle with us. I'd say it's less than 100 people, really. Maybe a couple thousand people will retweet some stuff and do stuff like that, which is good, which is great. I appreciate it greatly. And in fact, most of our daily actions consist of Twitter stuff, which is just super easy. But the number of hardcore people actually making phone calls and going out of their way to fight for, number one, our bill, which is S2598, and number two, the cancellation of all federally owned student loans by executive order, I can count those on like a couple of my fingers and my toes. So we are the pioneers, guys. And, Don't think that you can sit there and eat popcorn and wait and watch and worry and somebody else is going to pull your weight for you, because it just does not work that way. Our opposition is strong. They're small and they've got a losing argument, but they're strong. They've got resources. They've got smart people, smart, well-paid, ambitious, enthusiastic, hardworking people on their side, and they do not rest. They're making big money to keep this failed lending monstrosity going a little bit further. So yeah, guys, this is a real battle that we have on our hands, and I hope that you will help us, because we're not going to get anywhere without you, and that's always been true. If you sit there and you wait and you watch and you worry and you do nothing and you expect somebody else to pull your weight, you're going to be waiting a long time, and you're not going to like the solution that gets thrown around your neck. When we as individuals own this problem, because remember, these are your loans. This is your livelihood. This is your future at stake. If you don't fight for yourself, nobody else is gonna. And whether we have 10 people in this group or 10 million, that is still true. So come on, guys, help out. I've seen a lot of really cool individual achievements lately, by the way. Just all kinds of stuff. Derek got a nice op-ed published in a North Carolina newspaper a few weeks ago. That was very helpful. Everybody out there should be writing letters to the editor of their local newspaper and making the argument for why student loans, at a minimum, should have the same bankruptcy protections as all other loans in this country. Everybody should be doing that. I don't know why everybody isn't. I don't get that. But like I said, if you think you can wait around and the solution to this problem is going to land in your lap, it's not. Something will land in your lap, that's true, but you're not gonna like what it is, guys. You have no idea how important you are. If we could even get one governor, one Republican governor, and we're a nonpartisan group, guys. We pretty much hate both parties in equal measure. But the way the lay of the political landscape is right now, the Republicans have opposed us, and they oppose bankruptcy and they oppose loan cancellation. If we can get even one Republican governor to stand up and say, Mr. President Biden, enough. The governor of Texas, or the governor of Georgia, or the governor of Florida, or the governor of Missouri, or North Carolina, or South Carolina. Governor of North Carolina is actually a Democrat, believe it or not. So forget him. But if we can get even one Republican governor to stand up and say, Mr. President, enough, cancel these loans. I will not have my state conquered and enslaved by this big government, red state wrecking, college enriching debt. If we get even one governor to do that, that will be a sea change in the politics of this country. Now, every Republican governor out there should be on our side, and but for the bad politics, and but for the lazy bureaucrats who want to put their head in the sand, it would have been done a long time ago. I mean, think about it. I mentioned Georgia. Let's look at Georgia, okay? Most would agree Georgia is historically a very conservative state. They've got a Republican governor, Brian Kemp. The state budget of Georgia is $48 billion, nearly $50 billion. That's a lot of money. However, student loan debt in the state of Georgia is $82 billion, more than the entire state budget. That is a jaw-dropping statistic. No governor, I don't care if he's Democrat, Republican, or Martian, should be standing off on the sidelines and ignoring this. This is a state sovereignty issue. Interest alone on $80 billion is almost $5 billion a year, leaving the state of Georgia and going to the books of Washington, D.C. No good, true, red-blooded conservative can be for that. Anyone who claims to be for smaller government, anyone who claims to be wary of the colleges because they're indoctrinating liberal, communist, whatever, socialist, should not be supporting the federal student loan system. So what I'm telling you is that we are making a very conservative argument here. And it's not just Georgia. It's Texas. The state budget of Texas is $124 billion. The people of Texas owe $141 billion effing dollars in student loan debt. Florida, state budget of Florida is $80 billion. Ron DeSantis, Republican governor, $80 billion state budget, Florida. The people of Florida owe $120 freaking billion in student effing loan debt. There's nothing conservative about this. There's nothing MAGA about this. Now, maybe you live in one of those states. Well, you yourself could be the one person who finally makes that perfect phone call, makes that perfect media story in the local Texas or Florida or Georgia news. You could be the person that finally gets the first Republican governor to stand up and join us and say, Mr. President, enough. And a minimum, return bankruptcy to the loans. And as I said, once we get bankruptcy back, it's basically fait accompli. It's a very direct path between getting bankruptcy back and seeing actual, meaningful, widespread student loan, maybe total student loan cancellation. But you could be that person. You could literally save this whole entire country. And I, for one, would, I don't know, I'd give you all the money I had, probably, which is not much. But I would take this thing behind me. I would sign it, and like everybody would sign it, and we'd give it to you. You would get student loan justice hero of the century credit or something. Like, that's how important you could be. So think about that. Very important, guys. If left to the partisan food fight that we're seeing now, the most we're going to see is this nonsense up to $50,000 loan cancellation for Biden. And that's bullshit. I'm sorry. I've been doing this for too long. I won't be tricked. Maybe some of the other loan advocacy groups are happy to be tricked. I know at least one of them is badly corrupted by the lenders, I suspect. We found very deep ties between one of the so-called student loan advocacy groups and a lobbying firm called the DCI Group, which is famous for creating fake grassroots movements on behalf of banks and energy companies and tobacco companies, etc. So I don't speak for those advocates. They can defend themselves, but they are just bass-ackwards wrong if they think that up to $50,000 is anything. It's not. It's a joke. I have no problem with Elizabeth Warren, really. I have no problem with Chuck Schumer. I'm thrilled that they embraced the concept of canceling student loans by executive order. That's important. But this up to $50,000 nonsense, guys, is nonsense. And if you're like me and you were sick of these loans decades ago, you're not going to let yourself be fooled again. So just think about it, guys. The heart of this problem is bankruptcy. It's, as a practical matter, the only thing that I can see. Well, the second important point is, in my humble personal opinion, nobody should ever pay another dime on their federal student loans. Before the pandemic, more than half of everybody was not paying. Right now, almost nobody is paying on the federal student loans. In my humble opinion, nobody should resume paying if and when they try and turn this lending scam back on May 1st. Now, I know everybody's going to make their own decision, and some people are scared and whatever. My personal opinion is you shouldn't be scared of this lending scam. This lending scam should be scared of us because we hold the gold. We control this thing. Student loans are becoming a national joke. And come May 1st, if they actually do try and turn on this lending scam, very few people will pay. Only 35% of the people were paying before the pandemic. That's going to go down to like 15%. I hope it goes down to 0%, quite frankly, because there's no good reason to feed this beast. You know, you don't want to get your wages garnished. Okay, all right. Yeah, I get that. You're afraid. Yeah. I say grow a pair. My humble opinion, grow a pair. You know, don't feed this beast. That doesn't help you. It doesn't help the 45 million other people in the country who don't even know about it. Well, 44 million of them don't know about us. They should know about us. I hope you'll tell them about us. But it doesn't help anyone, and it doesn't help the tens or hundreds of millions of people who are going to follow in our footsteps. The strongest muscle we have to flex is not paying, and that is going to happen come May 1st. Whether you out there sitting there, whether you resume paying or not, the fact of the matter is, very few people are going to resume paying. There is going to be a mass default on this lending program. Now, if you are like most people, like I'm guessing 85% of everyone, you are not going to resume making payments certainly on your federal student loans come May 1st. Now think to yourself, just as a practical matter, would you rather face May 1st with the threat of bankruptcy back on your side or without it? Would you rather have at least the nuclear option of bankruptcy in your back pocket, like every other borrower for every other type of loan has? Or would you rather face May 1st naked, vulnerable, and afraid like everybody is now? Hopefully, I don't have to say anything more than that, and you can come to your own conclusion. So bankruptcy is absolutely the most critical thing that anyone and everyone with student loans should be fighting for right now. S-2598 is a great bill in the Senate. It returns bankruptcy rights to federal student loans. There's a 10-year waiting period, which I don't think is good. In fact, I think it's rather suspicious. And one of the big challenges that we're going to have when this bill finally passes is to make sure that that remains a 10-year waiting period and not a 10-year repayment requirement or any other sort of games. That's kind of a big danger for us right now. And but it's a good bill. It's a bill that's worth fighting for, and it will at least return the option of bankruptcy to, I'm guessing, somewhere around 32, 3, 4, 5 million people. So that's very important. If you have private loans, there's another bill, HR 4907. The bill doesn't seem to be really moving too much, but that's not to say that it can't. So if you have private student loans, you absolutely should be fighting very hard for HR 4907. Right now, not nearly enough people are fighting for this bill. And our group, we're fighting for it, but we can only do so much. It starts with you, it starts with borrowers. And when I see some people really fighting hard for it, maybe we'll lend a hand and we'll pitch in and we'll do more. But right now we are focusing almost like a laser beam on S-2598. So if you forget everything that I say tonight, but you definitely want to help, go to our website and do at least a month's worth of our daily actions. The other thing that I would say as a practical matter is, ow, got scratched by my cat. The other thing that I would say as a come here. What are you doing? Kitty's scratching my leg. What are you doing? Okay. Little production value there. Everybody likes cat videos, right? So as a practical matter, the other thing that you probably want to do, particularly if you're new to the group, if you don't know a whole lot about student loans other than the fact that you have them and you hate them, you should really learn about them. There's some very important, simple things that you need to understand. And if you go to our Medium site, read the past 5 or 6 articles that we've written. If you read and understand, and it's not hard, I try to write at at least a 10th grade level, maybe 9th grade. So if you can understand those articles, you can be a far more effective student loan justice warrior, soldier, and we need you because not nearly enough people know this issue well enough to successfully defend our argument against the bad guys. It's very easily done, by the way, but you've got to know a few things first. So go to our studentloanjustice.medium.com, read our most recent 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 articles. Give many claps to them, by the way. Also, it's for Medium to get better exposure for our stuff. And that will certainly put you you'll know 90% of what I know if you read those 6, 7, 8 articles, and you will be a very strong warrior. And we need you because this is kind of a war, guys. I don't know if you want to call it a class war, but it is a war, and our opposition is not resting. And so anything that you can do according to your own skills, talents, etc. But a little knowledge goes a long way. And so, yeah, check out our thing and read those articles. So I said do our daily actions. I said read our articles. The very last thing that I will say is, guys, this bill is important. We need to get more Republican senators to co-sponsor S-2598. So go to our website. Oh, I don't have it written down here. Go to our website, studentloanjustice.org. And right on the front page, you'll see something that says call your senators. Well, on Monday morning, I want you to go there. And in fact, I need you. I'm asking you, I'm begging you, I'm pleading with you to please go there. Click on the call your senator thing. Get your phone number for your senator. Call both of your senators and tell them as strongly as you possibly can to co-sponsor S-2598. It's important. So, okay, guys, I've gone a little longer than I was thinking. Oh, we have another comment here from Leslie again. Oh, no, we have quite a few more. Leslie says, insanity. It's hard to wrap my head around the age group of student loan debt. Over 50 is no joke. The media is biased. Oh, I think I read that. Yeah, guys, and all that stuff is covered in very good detail in those articles that we wrote. And again, if you're new to the group and you're like, who is this guy? He sounds like maybe he knows something, but he could be a total quack too. I will say we've written books on this topic with very esteemed and hoity-toity publishing companies like Beacon Press. We've been featured top story on 60 Minutes. We've broken stories in the Wall Street Journal and Inside Higher Ed. We've been featured on the Chronicle of Higher Education. We've written articles at the New York Times and the Hill and Los Angeles Times. We've done a lot of stuff, guys. Let me just say. Of all the stuff that I don't know, I do know student loans and our members. We are the oldest and largest, and I would say the smartest group in the country. We are ground zero, believe it or not. As unlikely as it may seem, we are the pioneers. This group, would not have a bankruptcy bill, but for our work, both in front and behind the scenes. We would not be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order, but for our petition and all the stuff that we did for that. So, and you can just Google us and you can see going back to 2005, all the stuff that we've done. And hopefully you'll be at least impressed enough to have confidence that I'm not just talking out of the side of my neck, that we have some credibility on this issue. And beyond that, I would say, we need your help, because we are a strictly, truly, as grassroots gets organization. We don't even have a formal legal structure, guys. We don't. If we were a band, we'd be the Grateful Dead. But having said that, and we don't want all the nonsense. We don't like the politics. We're not trying to build an empire here. We're trying to get a problem solved. And that starts with you. We are the flattest organization you can ever imagine. If you want to be the student loan justice king, you can be the king. And if you can knock me off my throne like that. If you can get a Republican governor to stand up and say, Mr. President, cancel these loans, or Mr. President, return bankruptcy to these loans, I think that's pretty much, that's it. I think that's the battle right there. So yeah, guys, let's have some fun with this. We're finally winning. After 17 years of trying, I can finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. But, oh God, guys, I don't want this to have a bad outcome. I don't. It could have a dystopian outcome, even still today. And I think really all that depends 99% on how hard we fight, how many people out there say, you know what, I am going to get off my ass and fight for my own ass. And I'm going to learn a couple of things so that I can at least swat the haters down. And we have a lot of haters out there. They're very easily defeated. Very easily defeated. Stop it. My cat's got sharp claws. Anyways, guys, we got this. but we need you. As soon as you help us, we got this. And we can put these loans we can put this entire lending system on the scrap heap of failed U.S. policy experiments in U.S. history. It needs to go on that scrap heap. This dying beast needs to be buried. It needs to be taken to the bath and drowned in the tub. We're a better country than this. The founders are on our side. The Constitution is on our side. Common sense is on our side. So just remember that. And, we'll help you in any way that we possibly can going forward. But do all that stuff I said. Just rewind this. It'll take you all of maybe not even an afternoon to read those articles and understand them, I hope. But you got to put the work in. You got to put the work in. So this is time well spent, effort well spent. So good luck, everybody. I will be back on Sunday and probably Monday also. Ed will be back on Tuesday. It's kind of how we roll. I will do live streams whenever I need to, as is appropriate. Things are happening very quickly right now, guys, if you haven't noticed. We've never been busier, and we've never needed you to join us in this fight more than we do now. So come on, guys. Let's make it happen. And I want to put this little tagline in your brain. So some people call it a strike. Strike's not the right word. We're not striking for anything, because a strike entails that you will resume going to work or resume paying if and when our demands are met. But guys, our demand is the cancellation of all federally owned student loans and the return of bankruptcy to all the rest. So it's pretty much the deletion of the lending system, right? So I think strike is the wrong word. We're thinking about Slexit. Let us know what your thoughts are. If you have any other clever tagline you'd like to throw out there, by all means, like I said, guys, the more the merrier, and we're all in this together. So, okay, so have a great weekend. Stay warm. I will try here in blustery, bleary, windy, snowy Wisconsin. Good luck. Godspeed. God bless everybody.